Now coming to the secondary or biological treatment, this is a treatment which is traditionally applied to a liquid portion of the sewage after primary treatment. And in that primary treatment, we'll be removing all the larger particles or floating materials or settlable solids, etc. But now coming to this stage, here we will be treating that water which contains various organic particles and all. Okay. Now here a commonly used method is to allow the polluted water to spread over a larger bed, stones and gravel, and so that the growth of different microorganisms needing the nutrients and oxygen is encouraged. So here the basic idea is it's also called as a biological treatment. Here some organisms like bacteria and aerobic bacteria or other protozoa and all will be growing in a controlled manner, which will decompose various biological impurities or biological organic substances, and thereby that will purify the water to a certain extent, you can say. And every form of life, including the algae and fungi, help in cleaning up the process. And now secondary or biological process which involves mainly two processes like softening and aeration. So by what is meant by softening? Softening is a treatment. By this treatment, undesirable cations of calcium and magnesium are removed from the hard water, because we have heard about the hard water, right? Hard water, something which causes difficulty in cleaning our clothes and all, because it consumes so much of water in cleaning the clothes, because soap does not froth because of the presence of high amount of hard water and all. So therefore what is done is we have to remove the causes of this hard water, and we have to soften it. And this, either the water is treated with a lime and soda ash to precipitate the calcium ion as carbonates, or it is passed through cation exchanger. There are two methods either. So what is causing this hardness to the water is this calcium and magnesium carbonates and sulfates, chloride, sulfates, etc. of certain metals like calcium and magnesium are causing this hardness to water. And so what is to be done is we have to replace this calcium and magnesium with ions like sodium and potassium, for which option is we use these kind of sodium charged ion exchange resins and all. That is one method. Otherwise we can go for lime soda addition to this water. Fine. By using this we will be we can do the ion exchange. And another option is aeration. Okay. So the problem with the hard water is that it will do some it will result into some encrustation of pipes, and it will reduce the lifespan of pipes and used for water supply and all. There will be scales and deposits of various salts on the inside the pipes, and thereby reducing its efficiency and all. And another problem is the consumption of soap and other detergents and all. Then aeration means, in this process the soft water is exposed to air by forcing air through it and add oxygen to water. So usually air, when we have more oxidation, this is called as an oxidation process. You can see the figure where it's a large tanks which are connected with the oxygen supply pipes, and continuously it will be aerated, and this encourages bacterial decomposition by the aerobic action. Okay. Addition of oxygen reduce the carbon dioxide, sulfides, etc., and the water is yet not fit for drinking purposes and all. It requires further treatment, and tertiary treatment is done when water is to be reused. 99% of the solids are removed, and various chemical processes are used to ensure water is free from infecting materials, etc. And chlorination is one of the methods of disinfecting water, adding chlorine to water. Then bleaching powder adding. Then chlorine also reacts with the traces of organic matter present in water and forms undesirable chlorinated hydrocarbons and toxic and potentially carcinogenic. And it is therefore desirable to reduce the organic matter in water before passing chlorine gas. So because there is a chance of forming some potentially harmful substance by the chemical action with the chlorine. So therefore we have to take care of even we have to be very, very careful while even while applying adopting any of these treatments. And other methods of disinfection such as ultraviolet radiation. Ultraviolet is of course you all know that ultraviolet has the capacity of it has a capacity to disinfect from bacteria and all. So that's why when we traditionally we used to have the water bodies on eastern side, so that when sun rises early in the morning there will be some direct falling of ultraviolet rays on the our wells and all. So that is actually for this because of this reason. And the ozone treatment is another possible treatment. Then reverse osmosis. Reverse osmosis is something like it is a water purification process, and that uses partially permeable membrane to remove the ions and unwanted molecules and large particles from the drinking water. And and it is a reverse in reverse osmosis some pressure is applied and which used to overcome the osmotic pressure, and thereby we'll be able to separate the solid particles and the water. Okay, and we're not going into details now, just to have a feel of all the various processes in disinfection and other aeration tanks and all. You can see the wastewater chlorine. This tank is for chlorination, again for disinfection, and on right top you can see the disinfection system of using ultraviolet systems, where ultraviolet rays are actually what happens is ultraviolet rays when subjected to this water, it will disrupt the DNA structure of various microorganisms, and thereby it reduces them and disinfects water. And on bottom left you can see the treatment plant for this ozone water treatment plant, and we are not looking at them in detail. We are just going through the in a superficial manner. Now the reverse osmosis treatment plant, that you can see on right side. And here this is again there is nothing like a single type of or unified system of water treatment plants and all, because even the various units we use for water treatment will vary depending on the kind of pollution which is to be treated. Say for example, if you have to treat water from a at a dairy processing unit, then it will be containing various oil and other materials, so which requires some skimming tank, because there will be some oily content, some fat content and all, which has to be removed from the top of the water. So that is one sort of tank which will be placed in the which will come in the water purification process. Whereas in some cases there will be some grits or larger settlable particles which require some sort of grating to capture those grits and all, and there will be like that. And now you can see in this picture, initially the raw water is passed through the screens, and that will screen the larger floating particles and all. Then there is a comminutor means which actually breaks the solid particles from the in the sewage. The sewage will be containing various larger particles or solid particles, and which will be not particles, solid materials, which will be broken down by this commuter, and then that pass through the grid chamber, where the at the bottom the settled particles will be collected, and whereas the floating water will be passed through the another primary clarifier. Clarifier is basically the tank where the water will be kept for settling, like a sedimentation tank, and then again the settled contents of the sludge will be finer particles will be taken separately, and it will be taken to the sludge treatment process, whereas the water will be passed to the aeration tank, and that is called as a primary effluent. Again, still it is containing various finer particles and other contaminants. And so now, after we have passed through the primary treatment to the secondary treatment, where water is subjected to aeration process, then and again it will be recycled back, because if still it may require multiple times of aeration, like so it will be taken back to the process again until the water is clarified, and then finally it is taken it is fed to the secondary, it is fed as secondary effluent to the tertiary treatment stage, where some disinfectant will be added. And now it goes like that. I just put this figure for you to have a rough idea about this. In the secondary clarifier, you can see the sludges which are deposited as taken separately to the sludge treatment plant, but the water alone is diverted and again connected back to the aeration tank. That arrangement you can see. Now, the legislative measure for preventing water pollution, it is important to utilize a good quality and unpolluted water, and quality criteria may vary depending upon the use, and individual efforts do pay in this regard. And however, a common policy in the form of legislation is always more effective. And enactment of Prevention and Control of Water Pollution Act in 1974 has helped in the prevention of water pollution. The standard have been prescribed for water pollution under Environmental Act of 1986, and these are given as follows. A general standard for water pollutants for discharge of effluents in water bodies or lands, inland, surface water, public sewers, irrigated land, and coastal areas. Now we need to get a copy of this act and go through that, just to have an understanding about what are the rules and legislation on in connection with this water preventing pollutions in water. Now standard specific for each type of industry, because any industries cannot simply dump and expel their chemical contaminants to water bodies, and it will be subjected to there will be some strict legal action will be taken against them if they commit anything like that. And standards are defined for this amount of waste water to be discharged for different industries, then standards limiting to the amount of particle pollutants on the basis of production capacity of the industry. You can read this. Now we'll wind up this session. Okay, thank you. Thanks.